At my brother Graham's promotion party, he lifted his champagne glass and announced loudly, "This is my brother James. He doesn't have a degree, a future, or a job. He just lives off the family." Everyone laughed. He was in our parents' packed living room with relatives and colleagues all around him. My mom and dad were quite proud of him. My Aunt Vivian gave me a nod that said she knew what I was talking about. My cousin Chloe grinned. I had the impression that everyone was watching me and waiting for me to break down. Instead, I smiled, lifted my glass, and said, "Cheers. This is the last time you'll see me." Then I departed. There was no noise at all in the room. That night, everything had started off so differently. When I went to my parents' home in Northwood, New Jersey, I gave them a magnificent chocolate layer cake that I had spent hours making. Even though the recipe was complex and took a lot of attention, I wanted to provide something exceptional. I donned my nicest suit, which was a dark gray one I bought on cheap specifically for tonight. I was quite thrilled and excited because I believed today would finally be my moment to tell some wonderful news of my own. The place was already filled when I got there. People who worked for Graham's consulting firm spent time with our complete family. Everyone was wearing business casual attire, and there was laughter everywhere. Quickly, Mom snatched the cake from me and placed it on the kitchen counter among the food that a caterer had provided. She didn't say anything about it. My dad was already talking to Graham's supervisor and making loud motions about something. No one inquired how I was doing. Nobody asked me how my week was. It stung a bit, even though I was accustomed to it. They didn't know or comprehend the background that brought me to that point. I was 22 years old and in the middle of my junior year at the State University of Meridian, where I was studying digital arts. I loved it. Every project, lesson, and late night in the computer lab made me feel like I was making progress on something meaningful. Then my dad suffered a heart attack. It occurred fast and violently on a Tuesday morning at his little manufacturing firm. It might take months to become well after having triple bypass surgery. And during those months, the company nearly went out of business. There were orders that weren't filled. Bills were all over the place from clients. My mom was too busy taking care of him and operating a company she had never ran before. He was nearly done with his MBA at the Westlake School of Business. He only had one semester remaining, but he had already scheduled up key internship interviews. His entire future seemed bright and secure. They said I could take a semester off to support them while they were in the hospital. They said it would just be one semester, until Dad got recovered and they could find the proper individuals to manage the firm. I said yes. Yes, I did say yes. He was my father. 2 semesters were tacked on. Then I couldn't go back since all the money I earned from my 3 jobs went to payments for my medical expenses and kept the company operating. It was off the highway where I worked as a barista in the morning, a shop clerk in the afternoon, and a chef at night. I slept for 4 hours every night. I watched Graham finish with honors when I was serving coffee to truckers at 200 in the morning. They stated they'd assist me go back to school if everything returned back to normal. They promised to remember me. But Graham obtained a job with a huge business, moved into a lovely apartment in Fairfield, and swiftly rose up the ranks. The family was only interested in what he had done, and I progressively forgot what I had done. It was modified to indicate that I did not succeed. For the last 2 years, I've been working as a digital artist on my own, establishing my CV and taking gigs wherever I could get them from my modest apartment. I worked hard, learned new skills, and pushed myself to improve, but my family didn't care. My mom dubbed it playing on the computer, and my dad asked me when I was going to get a real job. Graham didn't say much about what I did. I was attempting to keep out of the way in the kitchen tonight before he made his harsh remark when I heard my mom chatting to a bunch of Graham's colleagues' spouses. She remarked, "We're so lucky," with a lot of pride in her voice. Graham has done extremely well for himself. We have one kid who performed well. Graham made good use of his time. One of the ladies stared at me and made it apparent that she was not happy. My mom didn't care or see it. My dad joined in and shook his head. James never had the will. Other kids can accomplish things by themselves, while other kids require extra support. We did our best, but there is only so much you can do. It seemed like the words really hurt me. I held on to my glass even tighter, turning my hands white, but I didn't say anything. I promised myself I would remain to assist Graham and be a nice guy. Then it was time. Graham encouraged everyone to listen up. The room became silent. He stood in the center of the living room in a nice suit. In every aspect, the ideal kid. He remarked about how hard things would be when he was promoted to senior consultant and how grateful he was for his family's support. Then he looked at me. And I should introduce my brother to those who don't know him, he continued. His voice instantly altered to sound almost scornful. This is my brother James. No plans, no school, just sucking money from their family. Everyone in the room laughed out loud. He didn't just laugh politely, he truly laughed, like he delivered a joke that was really humorous. My folks were having a good time. Aunt Vivian was having a good time. My cousins were having a good time. Graham's employer was teasing him. I felt like everyone was watching me to see what I would do next, waiting for me to weep, shrink, or say sorry for being alive. Even when my throat felt tight and my hands trembled, I didn't give up. I grinned. I lifted my glass and spoke softly and loudly so that everyone could hear. Thanks. People will never see me again. Then I turned around and proceeded to the door. The chuckling stopped straight soon. There was a deep, horrified silence once it was finished. My mom gasped. After hearing someone scream, "Oh my God," I didn't glance back. I proceeded out the front door, across the driveway, and to my well-kept 8-year-old automobile. My hands were trembling so terribly that it was impossible for me to keep the key in the ignition. As soon as I got out of the garage, my phone started to vibrate very loudly. There was a text from Mom. "You shouldn't make us seem awful like that. Come back immediately." A text from Mom. This type of behavior is just inappropriate. Graham sent a message. It was only a joke. Why are you being so touchy? You're ruining my night. My dad texted me. Your mom is quite angry. You have to apologize to everyone. It took me 20 minutes to travel to my apartment. It was hard to see because of the tears. The phone continues ringing in the back seat. When I finally parked my vehicle, I sobbed more than I had in years. Not only because of what Graham said, but also because of what it revealed. They honestly believed I was worthless. I gave up a lot for my family, yet they still thought I was a burden and a failure. I walked inside, up the stairs to my studio on the second story, and then I fell asleep on my bed. I halted all of their calls. I grieved till I couldn't weep anymore over the family I thought I had and the people I hoped they could be. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize about midnight, when I was mentally tired. I nearly didn't pick up. I was done with my family and what they wanted from me. But something made me take up. "Hi there. Hey there. Is this James Hayes?" It was a weird, professional, and manly voice. "Yes, this is him. My name is Victor Sterling. As the Senior Creative Director of Pinnacle Creative Agency in Metropolitan Harbor City, you may find me there. I haven't spoken to you in 3 days." I woke up all of a sudden, disoriented and alert. "I'm sorry." "What?" In a cheerful and eager voice, he replied, "I looked at your resume online. Your art is very good, innovative, and brave, just what we need. I would want to hire you as a junior art director at our company. The compensation is $75,000, plus we give complete benefits and aid with relocation." I was having problems getting air. What I was hearing was too much for me to take. Victor said, "I sent you a few emails and left voicemails. The position has a 48-hour acceptance deadline since we need someone to start right away. I realize this is coming at you fast, but I truly hope you'll think about it." It was on the other side of the room from me. I collapsed on it and opened my email with shaking hands. They were there. There are 3 emails from Pinnacle Creative Agency, a letter of offer, and a perks package. Everything is true and genuine. I started to have problems talking. "I need to think about it." Vic answered, "Of course, but I need to know by 5 p.m. on Friday. I sincerely hope you say yes, James. I honestly think you would do a terrific job here." We said farewell. I hung up the phone. Then I listened to the voicemails I hadn't responded in a few days since I was too busy getting ready for Graham's party. Vic had 3, and they all became more enthusiastic as they went. It was genuine. This was happening. A prominent ad agency in Metropolitan Harbor City recruited me. They got my portfolio via an open call I submitted in months ago. While my family made fun of me for squandering time, I spent 3 weeks polishing it. Even though things had been rough, I had made a home for myself in this little space. And I realized something really important. There was no reason for me to be stranded in New Jersey. I didn't have any close friends anymore since I was too busy working to remain in touch with them. I was scared of everything and no one in my family cared about me. I was no longer afraid. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my computer and read the offer letter from Pinnacle Creative Agency over and over again, trying to convince myself that the $75,000 a year position was genuine. I barely made it last year with my freelance gigs in New Jersey, where I earned roughly $35,000. It was more than twice as much. It was a life. I had made up my mind by dawn. I opened Victor Sterling's email and composed a reply. To Victor, thank you for your offer. I'm pleased to accept it. Thanks for believing in what I do. I'm ready to start right now. Thanks, James. I pushed send before I could think again. Victor answered within an hour, as I was preparing coffee and my hands were trembling. He seemed quite delighted. He provided me documents for the start date, which is in 2 weeks, and the phone number of a transfer expert who might assist me locate an apartment in metropolitan Harbor City. For the following 2 weeks, I was busy preparing and working hard. I was surprised that my landlord understood when I informed him I was leaving my apartment. I packed up everything I possessed, which wasn't much. Things like my computer, books, clothing, and basic culinary gear. My tiny automobile had plenty of space for all of my things. My relatives never got in touch. They were plainly waiting for me to say sorry before coming back and stating I was incorrect. I didn't reach out either. Every day that passed without talking made me more confident that I was making the correct option. Saturday was a gloomy day for moving. I placed the final box in my vehicle. I drove away after taking one final glance at the apartment where I had begun from scratch and toiled for 2 years. I didn't feel bad. I was free. Metropolitan Harbor City was really big, but in a good manner. The moving assistant found me a modest studio apartment in Bayview that I could afford with my new wage. It takes 40 minutes by rail to go to the I's Midtown headquarters. The windows faced east, so a lot of early light filtered in. It wasn't as huge as my home in New Jersey. And it appeared to be a metaphor for everything. On my first day at Pinnacle Creative Agency, I was apprehensive. The office was on 3 floors of a glass structure that was near to the commercial district. Everything looked modern, smooth, and full of creative vitality. People older than me and I moved around the room with purpose and coffee cups in hand. They chatted about clients, marketing, and deadlines. Victor was exactly as kind and courteous in person as he had been over the phone. His hair was becoming gray, and he had compassionate eyes. I knew he was wearing the agency uniform since he had on black trousers and a jacket. Hey, James. We're very happy you arrived. He took me on a tour and introduced me to what seemed like 100 individuals whose names I forgot immediately away. But 3 names remained. Leo is a scriptwriter who is humorous, compassionate, and has a keen wit. Alara Kim, an associate creative director, looked me in the eye and said, Victor doesn't hire people he doesn't believe in. You must be good. Cameron, another art director, nodded and said, looking forward to seeing your work. My desk was in an open area with the rest of the creative team's desks. My first job was to promote an organic skincare brand on social media for Victor. A genuine job with a real customer and a real deadline. Not too huge. I worked longer than I ever have before. I stayed late, woke up early, and changed every plan a lot. Leo began joining me for lunch and told me humorous anecdotes about failed pitches and discussions with customers that didn't go as planned. They stopped by my desk often and offered me feedback that was hard but always made my work better. At first, Cameron appeared uninterested, but he began to concur with my thoughts by nodding his head. I learnt a lot and matured a lot in the first 3 months. I was exhausted and thrilled at the same time. Every day, I proved to myself that I belonged here, that I was excellent at this, and that Victor was correct to recruit me. I didn't think about my family all that much. When I did, I pushed it aside with a dull pain. I had already made up my mind. They had done theirs. I was getting better. 4 months into my new employment, someone called Sasha wrote me a message on LinkedIn. The note wasn't very lengthy. Hey, James. Graham is my coworker. This is something really crucial that you need to know. Can we have coffee together? I stared at the message for a long time. I wanted to forget about it and move on from Graham and everything else that had to do with him, but I was too curious to do so. We met up on a Saturday afternoon at a Heights coffee shop in the midst of our lives. Sasha wore regular clothing and appeared serious. She was in her 30s. She didn't spend any time. She stirred her latte and said, "I'm going to be blunt. I felt sick when I heard, Graham has been taking credit for your work." Answer: what? Graham asked you to make some show materials for him about 8 months ago, right? I recall it as a favor. He phoned me out of the blue and was really courteous. He said he wanted several pictures for a pitch to an important customer. Can I help? He said it would just take a few hours. I could do something nice for my brother and maybe we could be friends again. I had done it. I put up an entire PowerPoint presentation that looks professional and polished. Sasha said, he told our boss and the partners that he made those materials himself. He was applauded for putting in the extra work to be different. He became a senior advisor as part of his strategy to gain a promotion. I was ill. How do you know? A few weeks back, this guy informed me about your job. When I was seeking for a creator for a personal project, someone informed me about your site. I understood immediately away what the concepts for the program were. The same style and pieces. I glanced at the files Graham supplied me and the information they included. They took away the original author's rights, and they were created months before he stated he did. She pulled out her phone and showed me emails, pictures, file data, timestamps, and everything else that proved Graham had stolen my work and claimed it as his own. Why are you telling me this? I asked in a voice that was just above a whisper. Sasha's expression became more serious. Graham is full of himself and frequently takes credit for things that other people did. It's starting to become old for me. You should know about what he did to you since it was stealing. We met 2 more times in the following 2 weeks. Sasha handed me copies of all the crucial evidence. She said I could do anything I wanted with it, like speak to Graham about it, notify his employer about it, or simply keep it for my own protection. I had no idea what to do. I was quite furious and upset. But I also didn't know how to notify my family that they were creating problems. Sasha said that Graham, not me, was to blame for the troubles. My job was still going nicely at the same time. My first large assignment at the business was to completely change the look of a sustainable fashion brand. At our weekly meeting, Victor informed everyone on the creative team how fantastic my work was. He placed my drawings up on the screen in the conference room and remarked, "This is the kind of brave, well thought out work that defines what we do here. James, you did more than was asked of you. You did a great job." I was assigned larger businesses to deal with. I felt better about myself. I met actual folks. On the weekends, Leo asked me to lunch and supper with the crew. Ara became my mentor and taught me how to relate to consumers, stand up for my creative decisions, and cope with the company's politics. I felt like I lived someplace for the first time as an adult. Christmas and Thanksgiving were coming up. I believed my relatives may get in touch, maybe because time and tradition had made them more open. It didn't show up. There was no sound at all. I spent Thanksgiving with Leo and his partner. We enjoyed a huge, boisterous supper with relatives and friends in their apartment. It was lonely in some respects, but it also gave me a sense of freedom. I didn't have to pretend to be someone else, become smaller, or put up with extremely harsh comments. I realized that I had been waiting for an apology that would never come. They didn't believe they had done anything wrong. They thought I was the one who overreacted, was overly sensitive, and left them for no reason. 2 days before Christmas, I got a call from a number I didn't know. I had learnt not to take calls from individuals I didn't know, so I did. "That's my mom's voice, James." My heart raced. "Mom. Thank God. I attempted to get in contact with you. You stopped calling us." She didn't feel bad, she sounded like she was blaming someone. "I needed space," I answered gently. "Well, I'm calling because Graham's wife, Melissa, is pregnant. We're throwing a big party in January, and we need everyone to give money. We're asking all family members to give $400 each." I couldn't believe what I heard. "Not at all. How are you doing? We do miss you, however." No one said anything about what had transpired. Just a request for money. My mom said, "We know you left in a huff. But family is family, and everyone has to pitch in." This is vital. I felt like something within me froze. I don't have any money to send. I'm sorry. I told them, no, I'm not going to a party for a family that treated me badly. James, stop being so foolish. That was a long time ago. Graham doesn't recall much of what he said. You're angry with them because of a dumb joke. It wasn't a game, Mom. I'm done pretending it was. I hung up. I felt powerful even though my hands were trembling. I didn't give in. I received an email that night when I was still thinking about what we had spoken about. Axiom Technologies, a large IT business in Providence, sent it. They were seeking a few of companies to offer them quotes on a complete brand overhaul. The work cost a lot of money. Victor summoned the emergency squad together for a meeting. He remarked, "This is huge," and he couldn't help but be happy. Axiom is one of the most famous names in cloud computing. If we acquire this, everything will change for our agency. He stared straight at me. James, I want you to make this pitch. The customer expressly requested for someone with your style of design. They looked into your field and discovered your work. After that, they wanted to know your name. My mouth fell. They needed me. Victor grinned and agreed. This is your opportunity. I trust you. The episode about the pitch was going to be in the middle of January. When I read the date Victor had written down, I felt sick. It was the same day as Graham's baby shower. The introduction took place in Providence, which is just 90 minutes from where my family resides in New Jersey. I hadn't seen them in a long time, but they wouldn't know I was around. They would never know about my life, my accomplishments, or my opportunity. That made sense. I put in so much effort to be ready for the Axiom pitch that it astonished me. The objective wasn't only to get a customer. This was my time to show everyone that I was the person I had always thought I could be. The group was always busy. Leo and I chatted about ideas late into the night after we had coffee and snacks. Ara challenged me to think larger and take creative risks, which made me both afraid and delighted. I typically don't disturb Cameron at work, but he remained late to give me comments on my design mock-ups. People knew that Axiom Technologies had the latest technology, yet its logo looked ancient. They had to modify their whole appearance. They wanted to seem fresh and trustworthy without losing their present customers. I designed a breakthrough concept that mixes clean, straightforward design with digital parts that may be interacted with. The notion was modern without being too fashionable, and it was polished without being too rigid. Victor stood up after looking over my work. This is it, he replied in a hushed voice. These are just what they need. James, you'll blow their minds. A week before the pitch, my phone rang. A different number again. I stopped banning them because I knew my family would find a way to get in contact with me if they truly wanted to. This time it was my father. He spoke in a rough, chilly voice. I heard from your mom that you didn't want to assist with the baby shower. Not a hello. No way. How are you? Right to the charge. I answered, yes, in a calm voice. James, this is really selfish of you. You are abandoning your family to pay us back for all we've done for you. When you are required. It was so funny that I nearly laughed out loud. I dropped out of college to help your company because of all you've done for me. I worked 3 jobs to pay for your medical bills. I quit school so Graham could complete his. What have you done for me lately? There was no response on the other end. He wasn't accustomed to my getting back at him. He eventually yelled, that was your choice. You weren't forced to do any of those things. I responded that I could also go. My voice was powerful and steady. Goodbye, Dad. I hung up before he could answer. I felt pleased of myself even though my hands were trembling. I defended myself. I spoke the truth. Over the following several days, Graham started phoning from a new number. Parents are quite sad. You should apologize. You are breaking apart this family. Melissa is unhappy because you're stressed out, and upset individuals aren't good for infants. I didn't respond to any of them. I felt more convinced that I was on the right road with each letter. Graham eventually said, fine, don't come to the shower, but don't ever expect to be a part of this family again. I also stopped that number. I didn't want to be a part of it because that's not how I viewed family. It was time for the Axiom presentation. I got up at 5 a.m. at my Bayview apartment. Not peaceful enough to get any sleep, I put on my nicest suit, which was a dark gray garment I got particularly for the performance. I saw someone in the mirror who I didn't truly know. Confident, talented, and successful. Vic, Leo, Ara, and I all drove to Providence. The entire journey, they kept reminding me how amazing my work was and how ready I was. Victor kept saying, just be yourself. Show them what I already know, that you're brilliant. Axiom's headquarters was a sleek glass building in downtown Providence. All modern lines and impressive views. We were ushered into a conference room on the 20th floor. 6 executives sat across from us, including their CMO and their CEO. I presented for 90 minutes. I walked them through the entire rebranding concept, explained my design philosophy, showed mock-ups of how their new brand would look across every platform. I answered their questions thoughtfully, confidently. I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. When I finished, the CMO leaned back in her chair and smiled. That was exceptional. Truly innovative work. The CEO nodded. We'll be in touch by end of week, but I'll tell you now, this is exactly the direction we've been hoping someone would take us. We shook hands. Victor was beaming. Leo squeezed my shoulder. Ara whispered, you crushed it. We left the building riding high on adrenaline and hope. I felt invincible. Then in the lobby, I literally bumped into someone. Oh, I'm so sorry, I said automatically, stepping back. The person looked up. Our eyes met. It was my cousin Chloe. Her face went completely white. James. She was dressed in an interview suit, clutching a portfolio folder, clearly there for a job interview. She looked between me and my colleagues, taking in our professional attire, our confident postures. What are you doing here? Chloe stammered. Before I could answer, one of the Axiom executives who'd been in our pitch meeting walked past. She recognized me and stopped. Brilliant work today, James, she said warmly. We'll have a decision for you by Friday, but I want you to know your agency is our top choice. That presentation was exactly what we needed. She smiled and walked away. Chloe's jaw actually dropped. She stared at me, then at the executive's retreating figure, then back at me. I felt a surge of satisfaction I couldn't quite suppress. Good luck with your interview, Chloe, I said pleasantly. Then I walked out, leaving her stunned in the lobby. The drive back to Metropolitan Harbor City was euphoric. My team couldn't stop celebrating, already talking about how we'd execute the campaign when not if we won the contract. Victor kept glancing at me with this proud, almost paternal expression. You know this changes everything for you, right? He said, win or lose, you just proved you can handle major clients. You are ready for the next step. Friday arrived. Victor received the call at 20 in the afternoon. The whole company appeared to hold its breath as he took the meeting in his glass-walled office. We could see him nodding, smiling, and even pumping his fist in the air. When he came out, he said, we got it. We were chosen by Axiom. The workplace exploded. People applauded, embraced, and high-fived. Leo scooped me up and twirled me around. Everyone drew me away and said, you did this. This was all you. That evening, Victor called me into his office. Sit down, James. My heart raced. Was something wrong? I'm promoting you to art director, he said simply. Effective immediately. Your salary is now $95,000. You're the youngest person to hold that title in this agency's history. You've earned it. I couldn't speak, I just sat there overwhelmed as he explained the new responsibilities and opportunities. At 28 years old, I'd gone from freelancing in my apartment to art director at a major agency in less than a year. That night, I called Sasha to thank her for the evidence about Graham. I've been holding on to it. I told her, but I haven't decided what to do with it. You don't need revenge, Sasha said wisely. You're already winning. You're building something real. That's better than any confrontation. She was right. I felt like I'd moved beyond needing to prove anything to my family. My life was full and successful without them. 2 weeks later, I was working late at the office refining concepts for the Axiom rollout. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered absently, focused on my screen. James. A woman's voice cold and sharp. Yes, this is Melissa Graham's wife. I stopped what I was doing. Okay. I don't know what you think you're doing, she said, her tone dripping with disdain. Chloe, on the other hand, informed her family that she saw you in Providence behaving like a big-name professional and stating that you were in charge of a very significant program. My stomach became tight. It wasn't a scam. I did get ready and deliver a speech. Graham looked into it. You haven't shown that you worked for a genuine company. We know you're lying when you claim you have a fancy job to make yourself appear nice. That's too bad, James. You really need to see a specialist for assistance. Making up tales to seek attention is a symptom that something is wrong. I knew what had occurred. Graham probably searched for my name at the incorrect agency or on the internet in a manner that wasn't good. He didn't believe me since he never discovered anything. He felt I was lying, however. I could tell her what's wrong right now. I could offer her the name of my business as verification. But then, all of a sudden, I saw a new possibility. They assumed I was lying to them. I told Melissa, think what you want. I hung up and said, I don't care. For a month, I kept away from my family while they spoke poorly about me. Chloe posted blurry pictures on social media about family members who make up complete lives to garner attention and how vital it is for those who have lost touch with reality to receive assistance. My mom informed others at church that I was having a terrible time and that they were really concerned about me. People at work saw that I wasn't doing my job. Leo asked me whether everything was all right. I told them what was going on in a brief manner since I didn't want to talk about all of my family issues. They were mad at me. When are you going to tell them the truth? Leo wanted it. You all requested for further help. What are you still doing here? I gave it some thinking. The worst moment for it to happen. 3 months have passed. The end of winter and the start of spring. People were quite pleased with the work I made on the Axiom campaign. In April, the new brand name was made public, and everyone in the company liked it. There were signs in large cities. Ads on the internet spread like crazy. Tech journals said a lot of good things about Axiom's daring new approach. My name was on everything. James Hayes is the principal designer and art director of Pinnacle Creative Agency. The National Creative Council gave the commercial an NCC prize. At May, I stepped on stage with Victor and the rest of the team at an event at a hotel hall in metropolitan Harbor City. There were pictures in trade publications. Wrote articles for marketing blogs. A large trade journal wanted to talk to me for a story on new advertising stars. The item got up on Wednesday morning. It featured my whole name, a photo of me, my whole narrative of how I became a writer and worked my way up, and remarks from Victor about how hard I work and how great I am. I was preparing coffee in the office kitchen when my phone rang that morning. The new number for my mom that I hadn't yet blocked. I answered, "Hello, James." Her voice sounded weird and strained. "I need you to explain something to me." "What?" "Someone at your father's business just showed him an article about you, about some advertising award and some job in metropolitan Harbor City." I said nothing. "Is this real?" she demanded. "Do you actually work at this agency? Is this whole story true?" "Yes, Mom. It's all true. It's been true for over a year." Silence, then quietly. "Why didn't you tell us?" I almost laughed. "When would I have told you? When you called to ask for money. When Graham texted to call me selfish. When Dad said I had no drive. When would have been the right time?" "People are asking questions," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "They want to know why you're not in our lives. They're asking if we had a falling out. It's embarrassing. Please, we're having a birthday party for Graham's son, Caleb, next month. Just come. We can put all this behind us." There it was. Not an apology, not acknowledgement of what they'd done, just concern about appearances and a desire to sweep everything under the rug. "People are asking questions," I repeated slowly. "You're embarrassed. That's what you're worried about. James, please." "I'll think about it," I said, and hung up. But I'd already made my decision. I was going to that party, but not to make peace. I was going to make sure they finally understood exactly what they'd lost. Over the next 2 weeks, I received messages from various family members, each one more surreal than the last. My father texted, "We're proud of what you've accomplished." A few months back, he informed me I didn't have any drive. Graham wrote me, "Hey, bro. I read your piece. That's really cool, let's catch up soon." He seemed casual and pleasant, as if he hadn't made fun of me in front of 50 people and stolen my work. Aunt Vivian phoned and left a message on my phone. "We always knew you would do well, sweetheart. I can't wait to see you at Caleb's party. It will be how it used to be." Every message changed history. Wiped out the harshness. Pretended that the embarrassment had never occurred. They wanted to get to my achievements right now. Wanted to enjoy the fame that others gave them. Wanted to tell their friends about their son, brother, or nephew who worked in advertising in metropolitan Harbor City. One day during lunch, I showed Ara the texts. She read them with more and more anger, and her typically calm face became darker. "They want to use you," she said. "They didn't value you when they thought you were worthless. Now that they see how well you've done, they want to claim you. Don't let them." "I'm going to the party," I responded. She looked shocked. "Why?" "Because they need to know the truth. They need to know what they did. And they need to hear it in front of everyone, just as they did to me." Ar looked at me for a long time before nodding slowly. "Okay, but be cautious. Check that you're doing this for the proper reasons." I pondered about what she said. Was this payback? Maybe in part, but it was also the end. It was making a line. It was stopping them from changing our past. I said yes to the party. My mother phoned right after, her voice full of relief. "Oh, James, thank you. Everyone is so happy to see you. This means so much to the family." "I'll be there," I responded. The celebration was set for a Saturday afternoon in late May. I didn't go to work that day. I traveled from metropolitan Harbor City to New Jersey, a path I had taken 1,000 times before but that suddenly seemed unfamiliar and far away. I donned a classy blue suit and understated accessories. I felt confident since I had worked hard to acquire it over the last year. I got there just on time. It was strange and familiar all at the same time to see my parents' home. There were cars parked on the street. From the backyard, I could hear people and music. I went to the front door and rang the bell. My mom picked up the phone, and for a second we simply stared at one another. She had become older. I saw more gray in her hair, deeper creases around her eyes. "James," she whispered, drawing me into a close embrace. I didn't return it. "Thank you for coming. Let's not talk about anything bad today, please. It's Caleb's day." I nodded noncommittally and stepped inside. There were a lot of people at the house, Graham's extended family, his coworkers, our neighbors, and my parents' acquaintances. When I walked in, everyone turned to look at me with interest and recognition. It was evident that word had gotten around about my job. I was no longer the family's disappointment. I was the family curiosity. My father came up to me with his hand out for a polite handshake. "Hi, sweetie. It's nice to see you." Graham and Melissa came over, and Melissa was holding Caleb, who was 1 year old. "James, I'm delighted you could come. This is our son." He behaved like nothing had ever occurred, like the nasty speech he gave at his promotion party was old news that didn't matter anymore. People came up to me all afternoon. "We heard about your great campaign. You must be doing quite well. Graham just told us how pleased the family is." Every statement made my jaw hurt more. I smiled pleasantly, offered ambiguous responses, watched my family develop a new story in real time. Graham kept changing the subject and injecting himself in details about my job, hinting at how helpful he had always been. Chloe stayed away from me and didn't look me in the eye. She stayed on the other side of the yard. Graham stood up on the back deck after about an hour and asked everyone to pay attention. The yard quieted. He was holding Caleb in his arms, which was a sign of a good parent. He remarked, "I just want to thank everyone for coming to Caleb's first birthday." His voice booming over the grass. "This last year has been amazing. I became a parent, saw my family expand, and had everyone I love around me." He stared me right in the eye. "I'm so happy that my brother could be here today. We have always been close, and family is extremely important to me." The untruth was too obvious and too much. I felt something break within me. I got up. I really did say it, and my voice was clear and steady. "I'd want to mention a few things." My mom's face became pale. My dad looked scared, but everyone else nodded in support, thinking I was going to deliver a nice, brotherly toast. I went to the middle of the yard so everyone could see me. I started 18 months ago. I went to Graham's promotion celebration at this property. Graham presented me like way in front of everyone who was there. I stopped and looked at each family member. He replied, "This is my brother James. He doesn't have a degree and has no future. He just lives off the family." Everyone chuckled. My mom and dad laughed. My aunt laughed. My cousins thought it was funny. Graham's coworkers laughed. The yard was entirely quiet. People seemed uncomfortable as they moved about in their chairs. Graham's face was becoming crimson. I kept going after I stepped out that night. I meant it when I stated that this would be the last time any of you saw me. None of you phoned to say you were sorry for 18 months. None of you asked whether I was all right. None of you said anything about what occurred. My mom began to talk. I raised my hand. "Please let me finish. You don't know that I left school to help this family. I dropped out of school when my dad suffered a heart attack and the company was going down. I had to work 3 jobs to pay for my medical care. I stopped going to school so Graham could complete his MBA. I gave up my future for this family. I took out my phone and accessed the files that Sasha had sent me. Then Graham requested me to make him presentation materials. I did it as a courtesy. He informed his supervisor that he made them himself. He received a praise for it. It was one of the reasons he was promoted. The promotion we were celebrating that night. Here is the evidence. All of the emails, files, and timestamps. I held out my phone and proceeded to pass it around. People glanced at Graham and then the proof. His face was suddenly glowing crimson. Melissa was shocked and stared at him. "I made a new life for myself without any of you." I responded, "I moved to metropolitan Harbor City. I obtained a job with a big ad firm. I was in charge of the campaign that earned a big award in the business. As an art director, I now make $95,000 a year. I accomplished all of it by myself, without any support from this family." I glanced at all of them. Everyone, my mom, my dad, Graham, Chloe, and everyone else. I came here today to offer you one final opportunity to say you're sorry, to admit what you did, and to show me that you knew how deeply you wounded me. I could hear my speech well, but tears were flowing down my cheeks. But all you've done is act. You don't think I'm good. You feel bad because you were incorrect about me. You don't want to be in a relationship. You want it to look like one. There was no sound at all. There were tears flowing down my mother's cheeks. My dad looked like he was in pain. Graham couldn't look me in the eye. I murmured softly, "I forgive you. Because being angry just harms me. But I'm finished. I'm not going to pretend we're a family anymore. At Graham's party 18 months ago, you made your decision. I'm doing mine right now. I wish you all have a great life." I turned and proceeded toward the door. There was commotion behind me. My mom was phoning me. Everyone was chatting at the same time. I heard Melissa yell at Graham, asking for answers. My mom came up with me at my vehicle. "Please don't leave, James. We can make this better." I turned to look at her. "I love you, Mom, but I deserve more than this. I always deserved better." She murmured, "I'm sorry," and then she started to weep. "We're really sorry. Don't go, please." I shook my head slowly. "I departed 18 months ago. You simply didn't see it." I got in my vehicle and drove off. This time, I wasn't rushing away injured. I was walking away feeling better. The journey back to metropolitan Harbor City was unlike any other drive I'd ever taken. My hands were solid on the steering wheel. Even though my heart was heavy, it felt lighter in some way. I had stated what I needed to say. I had drawn the line that needed to be drawn. My phone kept buzzing in the passenger seat, but I didn't check it until I was securely parked outside my Bayview condo 2 hours later. There were 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. I quickly looked through them. "Please call me, Mom. We have to speak." From Dad, "You humiliated this family today. What you did was not okay. You shouldn't have brought up that design stuff with Graham. You're making me seem horrible at work. He was solely bothered about himself, even when things were bad and he was in trouble." But there was one communication from Melissa that astonished me. I didn't know about the designs. There were a lot of things I didn't know. "I apologize for what I said to you over the phone. You didn't deserve it. I didn't answer any of them. I went inside, put on some comfy clothing, and got food to go. Then I phoned Ara. How did it go?" She inquired right away. I told them everything in front of everyone and then I left. I spoke what I had to say and then I left. There was a break. How are you feeling? I gave it some thinking. No cost. The following several weeks were calm. After the first 2 days, my relatives stopped phoning. I wondered whether they had finally accepted my choice or if they were just getting back together. The quiet was a comfort either way. Work became my main focus and my safe place. The Axiom campaign was doing better than we had hoped, and other big tech businesses that had seen our work had begun to ask us questions. Victor continued giving me greater assignments and trusted me with increasing responsibility. I met Olivia during a photography show in the city in June. She was a freelance photographer who was displaying a series of pictures of cityscapes. We began discussing about composition and negative space, and 3 hours later we discovered the exhibition was shutting. She wanted my number. I handed it to her. We went out for coffee, then supper, and then we walked around the city till midnight chatting about everything and nothing. She was kind, considerate, and very interested in what I was doing. She didn't attempt to alter or downplay my family situation when I informed her about it. He merely listened. That took guts, she remarked. Like that, sticking up for yourself. It was just what I needed to hear. A lot of excellent things happened throughout the summer. I got closer to Olivia. I made more buddies at work. We developed a custom of having breakfast on Sundays. Ara was more than just a mentor. She was a true buddy. Someone I could call at midnight when I was worried about a pitch. Someone who would tell me the truth, even if it hurt. Victor summoned me into his office in August. James, sit down. My heart skipped a beat. I had learned that these talks might go any way. He grinned. I'm giving you a promotion again, senior art director. You now make $110,000 a year. You deserve it 10 times over. At 29, I was earning more money than I had ever thought imaginable. I recognized with a tiny amount of delight that I was more than Graham. One night in early September, I got home to discover a big envelope in my mailbox. The address to send it back to was my parents' residence in New Jersey. I wanted to toss it out without opening it, but something compelled me to bring it inside. For 10 minutes, I simply sat on my sofa and looked at the envelope. At last, I opened it. There was an 8-page letter inside that was written by hand on my mother's stationery. It started with Dear James. I don't know whether you'll read this. I'm not sure whether I have the right to ask you, but I need to attempt to explain. And most importantly, I need to say I'm sorry. I continued on reading. She wrote about how she'd been thinking about everything I'd said since Caleb's party, including my speech and my allegations. She said that she had gone through old pictures and calendars to put together the years when I dropped out of school. And she'd been shocked to discover how much I'd given and how little they'd recognized it. She wrote, "You were 22 years old. You should have been studying, going to parties, and figuring out your life. Instead, you worked 3 jobs to save our family, and we let you. We took your sacrifice for granted and then punished you for the consequences of that sacrifice." She wrote about Graham's promotion party, how she heard my words and laughed along with everyone else without thinking about what she was doing. That night, I felt extremely proud of Graham. He had put forth a lot of effort to get the promotion. But you had also worked hard in ways we didn't see. Instead of congratulating you both, I helped humiliate you. I thought my son was funny. I will always regret it. She wrote about the months of quiet and how they would tell themselves I was exaggerating, being theatrical, or having a tantrum. We convinced ourselves, you'd come back when you calmed down. We told ourselves it wasn't a big deal. We were mistaken. It was bad. What Graham said was mean. What we did by laughing was worse. And what we've done since then, when we tried to act like it never happened, was the worst of all. She wrote about how reading the story about my award made her realize that I had developed a whole great career that they didn't know about. I was pleased when I read that, but then I felt bad because I knew I shouldn't have been glad. I didn't help you. I didn't think you were real. I didn't deserve to celebrate your accomplishment. She said she was sorry for phoning to beg for money to get me to attend to the baby shower and for spreading rumors that I was mentally ill. We couldn't believe you had really done it without us. It was simpler to think you were lying than to admit that we had been utterly incorrect about you. The letter went on for 8 pages. An honest apology that takes blame. No excuses, no distractions, just the truth. She said, I don't expect you to forgive us. I don't think you'll ever want to be friends with us again. You have a nice life, and you should keep it safe from individuals who injure you. I wanted you to know that I saw what we did, even if those individuals are your relatives. I now know what we lost. And I am very, very sorry. James, I'm proud of you. Not because of your work or how well you performed, but because you had the guts to leave individuals who didn't treat you with the respect you deserved. That takes a lot of power. I don't think I have. I hope you're content. I hope you have people in your life that appreciate you the way you should be, and I hope that one day you may think of us with love and regret instead of grief. Hey, Mom. I sat on my sofa and sobbed, but not sad tears. Something that isn't as simple. Sadness at what may have been. Thankful that she finally got it. Thankful that she had written the letter. And yet, deep inside, frustration that it had taken so long. I didn't answer immediately away. I needed time to think, but I retained the letter. A week later, there was another envelope. This one from Graham. It's shorter, just 2 pages, but the tone is the same. A lot has been on my mind since Caleb's party, James. Actually, for a long time before then, but I wasn't honest with myself. After you told everyone about the stolen design, Sasha came to me. She quit and informed our partners everything that had happened. There was an inquiry. I was given a formal warning. I almost got fired. I'm on probation now, and I deserve every bit of it. I took your work. I took credit for your skills. And to make matters worse, I made fun of you in public for not having the success I had stolen from you. I was envious. Actually, I've always been envious of you. You have a natural creativity that I've never had. You make everything seem nice. I simply create spreadsheets. Part of me was happy when you dropped out to assist Dad since it meant I would always be the successful one by default. I hate to say this, but it's true. Your effort and the labor you stole helped me build my profession. And then I had the nerve to call you a mooch. I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry. I realize that's not enough. And I know you don't have to forgive me, but I wanted you to know that I realize what I did now. I'm working on becoming a better person for Caleb. I want him to see his father take responsibility, treat others with respect, and cherish the people that matter, if nothing else. I didn't do any of it with you. I'm sorry, Graham. I read his letter 2 times. It seemed real, but I still wasn't ready to answer. One night over supper at my flat, I presented Olivia both letters. She read them attentively and then glanced at me. What do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I want to think that they have changed. Some of me believes it's too late. Olivia whispered softly, maybe it's both. They could have changed. And maybe it's too late for things to go back to the way they were. But it doesn't mean there isn't a way ahead, it's simply a different one. For days, I pondered about what she said. I finally wrote back to my mom. The letter is just 1 page long. Thanks for your letter, Mom. Thanks for finally telling the truth about what occurred. You have no idea how much it means to me. I don't want to be in a relationship right now. I may not be ready for a long time, maybe years, but I respect your apologies and I'm open to the idea of starting again at some point. It can't be the same as it was. It must be distinctive. Based on honesty and respect. I need some time. I need some room. But I'm not shutting the door all the way. James, I hope you understand. I sent it. After that, I attempted to go on with my life. It was fall. After that, winter. My mom would send me emails every now and then. Never pushy, just little things about her life. Dad had begun treatment. Graham was working on his own. Caleb was now walking. She missed me, but she respected my space. I read all of them, but I didn't reply to most of them. I didn't respond Graham's letter. I wasn't ready for it yet. Work kept getting better. In November, I was in my office going over ideas for a new campaign when Victor knocked on my door. Do you have a minute? All the time. He sat down and seemed a little uneasy. The partners want to talk to you. Now in the conference room. My stomach sank. Is there a problem? He told me to leave, yet he was smiling. I went to the meeting room with unsteady legs. The 3 partners that own the agency were at the table. They got up as I walked in. Ms. Roth, the senior partner, responded cordially, James. Please take a seat. I sat down. She went on, we've been keeping a very close eye on your work. In the last year, Your efforts have brought in 5 big customers. You've done a great job of mentoring younger designers. You've done a great job of representing this agency at industry gatherings. In short, you are now very important to us. She pushed a folder across the table. We would want to hire you as the creative director. It comes with a $145,000 salary, profit share, and a seat at our creative leadership meetings. You would be the youngest creative director in the 30 years that our firm has been around. I couldn't get any air. At 29, he was the creative director. Ms. Roth said we need a response by the end of the week. But I think you'll agree. I discovered my voice. Yes, I say yes without a doubt. They grinned, stepped up, and shook my hand. James, welcome to the world of leadership. That night, I had a party with my chosen family, Olivia, Leo, Aurora, Cameron, and Victor. We went to a restaurant, drank too much wine, and laughed till we wept. These folks had seen me at my worst and helped me become my finest. They had faith in me when my own family didn't. I was all right with this being my family now. A year after I left Caleb's birthday celebration, I was a totally different person living a completely different life. Not different in the ways that were obvious, even though there were many of those. Different in the ways that counted. I had learned to appreciate myself. I realized that love isn't truly love if you don't respect the other person. I realized that leaving toxic people behind doesn't mean giving up. It's about selecting yourself. My flat in the Bayview area had become a real home. Olivia had moved in months before, and all of a sudden, the room that had always been transient became permanent. Her pictures were on the walls next to my design work. The books on the shelf were all jumbled up. We had routines and inside jokes that made our life together seem genuine and solid. The work was amazing. As the creative director, I was in charge of 12 designers and art directors who worked on ads for some of the largest companies in the nation. The Axiom branding has opened possibilities I never thought would be feasible. Nonprofits, fashion labels, and IT enterprises. Everyone wanted Pinnacle Creative Agency, and more particularly, they wanted me. 3 big industry magazines have written about me. I had given speeches at conventions. I had helped young designers who reminded me of myself. They were ambitious and bright, and they only needed someone to believe in them. I was at my desk going over a pitch deck on a Thursday in late May when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I nearly didn't look, but something forced me to it. Hey, James. This is the wife of Melissa Graham. I know we haven't spoken since Caleb's party last year. I'm getting in touch since Graham's birthday is next month and I'm preparing a modest family meal. I wanted to invite you in person. No pressure, no expectations. I get it if you're not ready, but the invite is real. I looked at the message for a long time. Then I gave it to Laura, who had come to my office for a creative assessment. She read it and then glanced at me. What does your gut say? I have no idea. I said yes. I want to go. Some of me believes it's too soon. What would going do? She asked. I gave it some thinking. Maybe an end. Maybe checking to see if anything has really changed. And if nothing has changed, I'll leave again. But at least I'll be sure. I sent Melissa a text back. Thanks for the invite, I'll think about it and get back to you. I couldn't stop thinking about it for the following week. I chatted to Olivia, who said she would back whatever I chose. I spoke to Leo, who was doubtful but understood. I even contacted my therapist, Dr. Lynn, a lady I had been seeing for a few months. What are you terrified of? During our session, Dr. Lynn inquired. That they haven't really changed much. That it will be the same thing, just with nicer language. That I'll be harmed again. And what do you want? I really hope they've done the job they've said they would and grown. Maybe we can make something new, even if it's not what we had previously. Those sound like good things to hope for. If they aren't fulfilled, can you keep yourself safe? Yes, I said, and I meant it. I can go. I now know how to go. I sent Melissa an SMS. I will go to supper. Thanks for asking me to come. The meal was set for a Saturday night in mid-June at Graham and Melissa's residence in Fairfield. Olivia, who I'd invited to come with me for support, drove with me from the city. She held my hand the entire time we drove. She stated we may go at any time if we wanted to. No questions asked. The home that Graham and Melissa lived in was gorgeous. It was a renovated colonial in a pleasant neighborhood. There were toys for kids all around the front yard. There were wind chimes on the porch. Melissa opened the door. She seemed nervous. "Thank you for coming, James. And you must be Olivia." She took us inside. The home looked warm and lived in, and there were pictures of Caleb at different times in his brief life all throughout the place. I felt a sorrow when I realized I had missed all of those times. My folks were already in the living room when I got there. They got up as I walked in. My mom's eyes flooded with tears right away. "James," she murmured, her voice shaking. "Mom, Dad." I embraced them both quickly and stiffly. Graham stepped out of the kitchen wearing an apron and looked unsure. "Hey, Eth, I'm glad you came." We sat down to eat at a table in their dining room. At first, it seemed weird. Everyone is overly cautious with what they say. Everyone was unsure of what to say. Caleb, who is now 2 years old, was a pleasant diversion. He spoke and threw food, which made everyone laugh. My dad cleared his throat halfway through the meal. "James, I want to say something," everyone said. He added, "I've been in therapy for 8 months, and his voice was harsh. I have been working through a lot of things, and one thing I have learned is how terribly I let you down following my heart attack. I asked you to give up your future to rescue mine, but I never thanked you for doing so. I let you drop out of school, and then I condemned you for not having a degree. That's not okay. I'm so sorry." Next, my mom talked. "Last year, I wrote you a letter. I meant what I said, but I need to say it out loud, too. As a mother, I let you down. I put looks and comfort ahead of your health. I should have spoken up for you right away when Graham made fun of you at his party. I laughed instead. I will always feel ashamed of it. I'm sorry, darling. I'm so sorry." Graham placed his fork down. "I've also been seeing a therapist, and I've had to confront some painful realities about myself. I was envious of you, Ethways. You are gifted in areas that I am not, like being fearless, honest, and creative. I made some of my success on the work you did, and then I made fun of you for not being successful. My company had to look into Sasha's resignation. I was close to being fired. I still have to do my time, and I deserve it all. I took something from you. I let you down. I'm embarrassed of who I was. I'm working on becoming better, but I realize it doesn't fix what I've done. Sorry." Melissa was the final person to speak. "I didn't know you till last year. The only thing I knew was what Graham told me, which was a one-sided story that made him seem good. I was really mad at Graham when you spoke the truth at Caleb's party. We were close to breaking up. We've been going to couples therapy for a year. Now he's doing the task. Doing it for real. But I wanted you to know that I saw you. I saw what they done to you. I'm sorry I helped keep the hurt going by phoning you and accused you of lying. You didn't deserve it. I just sat there and took it all in." These apologies were not the same as the letter. They were seen by everyone, difficult to take back, and they felt real, yet words were simple. I wanted to discover whether anything had altered at its core. I replied slowly, "Thank you for all of that. Yes, but I have to be honest. I don't know whether I can trust you yet. You broke my trust, which is something you have to earn. These apologies are a good start, but they are only words. Before I can think about having a true connection with any of you again, I need to see that things are changing consistently over time." My dad nodded slowly. "That's fair. That's more than fair." I told them again that I needed limits. If I say no to anything, I need to know that others will respect that. I need to know that others won't make fun of or ignore my job and choices. I need to know that I won't have to give up my life for this family again. "Understood," my mother remarked softly. I looked at each of them and added, "And I need you all to understand something else. I made a decent life for myself without you. There are individuals in my life who care about me and support me. I'm proud of my job. My boyfriend treats me well. This family isn't important to me anymore. I want to give you a chance, not because I have to. That's a big difference." Graham's eyes were bloodshot. "We get that, and we appreciate that you're even willing to attempt." After then, the talk turned to lighter subjects. They wanted to know about my job, so I informed them about some recent initiatives. They inquired about Olivia, and she told them anecdotes about her photographic efforts that made them smile. My mom asked me whether I was pleased, and I really was. We departed at around 9 o'clock. This time, my folks hugged me farewell for a longer period. Graham clasped Olivia's hand and said, "Thank you for coming." Melissa led us to the vehicle. She added, "Thank you for giving us a chance. I know we don't deserve it. We'll see." I spoke the truth. "This is only the beginning." Olivia inquired in the vehicle. "What are your thoughts?" I said, cautiously optimistic. "They appear real, but I've been hurt before." She told me to take it easy. "You don't have to give them anything." My family showed me they were serious about changing during the following 6 months. My mom would contact me every now and again, always respecting my space and never asking for more than I was prepared to offer. My dad gave me a $50,000 check, which is what he thought I had spent on his medical expenditures at the family firm. I was about to send it back, but Olivia talked me into keeping it. She responded, "You earned that money. You gave up things for them. Let them make at least some financial reparations." I put the check in the bank and used it as a down payment on an apartment in the Heights, which was an investment in my future. Graham called once a month, never pushed, and sent reports on Caleb and his own therapeutic progress. He had begun volunteering with a program that helps young people who want to engage in business. His text read, he sent me a picture of himself with a group of teenagers at a career fair, looking genuinely happy, trying to be the kind of mentor I wish I'd been to you. Be careful as I slowly let them back in. I told them, not all the way. Not to the middle of my life, where they may injure me again. To the edges where we could build something new. That Christmas, I agreed to spend one day with Olivia's family in New Jersey as a cushion. It was weird, but not awful. We gave each other gifts. Caleb, who is now 2.5 years old, loved the art tools I brought him. When I gave my mom a framed picture of me accepting the raise to creative director, she cried. It was a reminder of how successful I had become without them. "I'm putting this in the living room," she stated. "I want everyone who visits to see it. I want them to know how proud I am of you." I didn't tell her that proud was wrong. I was beginning to embrace the difficult truth that people may be really proud of you today, even if they had let you down badly in the past. I got an unexpected invitation in March, almost 2 years after I left Caleb's birthday celebration. In San Francisco, the National Creative Council, NCC, was holding its annual award show. My Axiom campaign was up for Campaign of the Year. Victor summoned me into his office and said, "We're sending you to represent the agency. All expenses paid. And James, you're going to win." "I know you are." I stated you couldn't know that, but I was smiling. I can tell when someone is talented. "You will win." It was a Saturday night in April when the ceremony took place. The Pinnacle Creative Agency dispatched an entire team, myself, Victor, Alara, Leo, and Cameron. Olivia was my date. We went to San Francisco, slept at a wonderful hotel, and spent the day before the wedding seeing the sights. The awards event took place in a huge ballroom with hundreds of industry executives dressed up. My pulse was racing so fast when they revealed the nominations for Campaign of the Year that I felt everyone could hear it. The winner is James Hayes, the main designer of Pinnacle Creative Agency, who worked on the Axiom Technologies brand revamp. Everyone in the room clapped. I stepped to the stage with my legs trembling. It was substantial and weighty in my palms. I glanced out into the crowd and saw my team shouting. Olivia was shooting on her phone, and people were clapping for my job. At the microphone, I said, "Thank you. Everything I believe about design is shown in this ad. Being honest, taking chances, and being around people who believe in you are what it takes to do good work. Vic Sterling, thanks for giving me a chance. Thanks to everyone at Pinnacle who pushed me to do better. Also, thanks to everyone who helped me along the way. This is very important." As soon as I walked off the stage, people were congratulating me, asking to shake my hand, and taking pictures of me. It was amazing and so much fun. I shared a picture of myself with the prize on social media later that night, when I got back to the hotel. I don't use Instagram very often, but I thought this was worth sharing. Within an hour, I started getting messages from people I worked with in the past, college friends I hadn't talked to in years, old customers, and then my mother sent me a text. "I read your post. Please know how proud I am of you, sweetheart. You did everything by yourself. You deserve this. Excellent work. She didn't feel like she was trying to change the past or take credit for the first time because she was proud. It felt like real happiness that I had done well. Even though it was a small thing, I texted back, "Thank you, Mom. That means a lot." We were making a new thing. Carefully and slowly, but sincerely. A few months after winning Campaign of the Year, Ms. Roth, the senior partner, came to my office at Pinnacle Creative Agency on a Thursday afternoon. "Have you got a minute?" She did sit down, of course. Her face was serious, but not mean. "I'm going to be straight with you, James, because I think you like it that way. You will become a junior partner. You will have a $190,000 pay, an ownership part in the company, and a seat at the top table. You've earned this 10 times over. What do you say?" I was unable to speak. I was 30 years old when I was offered a share at a big advertising firm. 6 years after my family told me I wasn't worth anything. 3 years after leaving Graham's promotion party with nothing but my pride, I was doing better than I ever thought possible. Yes, I finally did it. Of course. Yes. M. Roth gave a smile. "Okay. Thanks for becoming a partner, James. You deserve it." Olivia and I celebrated that night by going to our favorite place for dinner. We had moved into our new Heights home months before. A lovely 2-bedroom apartment with exposed brick and big windows that look out onto a street lined with trees. It was like home like no other place had ever felt. "I'm proud of you," Olivia said, raising her wine glass. "And not just for the relationship. That's extremely cool. I'm glad you've made your life better. How you've forgiven without forgetting, how you've let your family back in without letting them hurt you again." "I couldn't have done it without you," I said honestly. "You could have," she corrected gently. "But I'm glad you didn't have to." The relationship with my family had continued to evolve. We weren't close, not the way some families were, but we'd found a rhythm that worked. Monthly dinners, occasional phone calls, boundaries that everyone respected. My mother had stopped trying to rewrite history. My father had stopped offering unsolicited advice. Graham had stopped taking credit for things that weren't his. They'd done the work slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely, and I'd done my own work, too. Learning to hold space for both the hurt they'd caused and the effort they were making. Now, one Saturday in October, I drove to New Jersey for Caleb's 3rd birthday party. This time, I went alone. Olivia was traveling for work, but I felt okay going by myself. That felt significant evidence of real healing. The party was in Graham and Melissa's backyard, decorated with superhero-themed balloons and streamers. Caleb had grown into a sweet, energetic kid who called me Uncle Eth and showed me every toy he owned. During the party, I found myself standing next to Graham at the grill. We watched Caleb play with his cousins in comfortable silence for a moment. "Can I tell you something?" Graham said softly. "Sure." He replied, "I'm glad you left my party that night. I mean it. What I said to you was one of the worst things I've ever done. I was horrified. If you hadn't gone, you could have remained. Then I wouldn't have had to deal with the type of person I had become. I had to really think about myself after you departed. Because of that, we had to look at ourselves. I'm sorry I wounded you so horribly, but I'm pleased you were strong enough to make us change. There was nothing I could say. Graham told you that was clever of you. But in an odd way, you also rescued me. You taught me how to establish boundaries, demand respect, and make my own choices. Caleb has to understand that immediately. That he would never have to live in a place that doesn't care about him." Finally, I said to her, "I'm glad you learned from it." "I truly am." "Yes, I agree." As I drove back to the Heights that night, I thought about all that had transpired in the past 3 years. The embarrassment, the sorrow, the decision to leave, the rebuilding, the success, and the delicate reunion. Every small thing had brought me to a life I liked. I recalled the 22-year-old kid who dropped out of school to help her family because he felt that giving up something proved you loved them. I recalled the guy I met when I was 27 who was weeping in his vehicle because the people who were meant to keep him safe were making fun of him. I thought about who I was at 30, happy, loved, healed, and entire. I learned things on the trip that I couldn't have learned any other way. I realized that family isn't simply about obligation or blood. It's about choosing each other every day, being there for one another, and treating each other with respect. My chosen family, Olivia, Leo, Alara, Victor, and Dr. Lin, taught me how to get along with others. I had realized that my family's opinion of me did not determine my value. I bought the tale they gave me for years, that I wasn't good enough, that I failed, and that I was a failure. The first thing that let them see that what they believed wasn't genuine was walking away. Even if they didn't see it, I was worth something. I found that confronting the individuals who mistreated me wasn't the most difficult aspect of my recovery. It was forgiving myself for letting them treat me that way for so long. I believed they were cruel to me since I didn't say anything when I should have. Forgiving others was easier than forgiving myself. I learned that breaking up with someone didn't mean I gave up on my family. It meant putting my health first and not settling for less than I deserved. And sometimes the strongest and greatest thing you could do was to make that decision. I have to quit trying to prove others incorrect in order to be successful. It was about producing something genuine and being happy that their opinions didn't matter anymore. Hurting or killing my family didn't help me win. In the end, I won because I built a better life for myself with individuals who loved me from the start. I also realized that becoming better didn't happen in a straight line. There were days when I was extremely furious again. Some days I was sorry about the familial bonds that were damaged and could never be repaired. There were days when I felt tranquil. All of those sentiments might be true at the same moment. If I hadn't been bold enough to leave that award celebration 3 years ago, I wouldn't have the career, the relationship, the friends, and the slowly rebuilding family relationships that I have today. And I meant it when I said, this is the last time any of you will see me. That decision I took when I was really furious and hurt saved my life. I got out of my vehicle as soon as I parked, sat down, and pulled out my phone. After I found my mom's contact, I sent her a text with a photo from earlier that day. He claimed it was a photo of Caleb and me giggling at something foolish as we were both coated in icing from a birthday cake. A moment of joy. There was no need for a description or explanation. It was simply confirmation that I could be happy with them again now that I could heal and we had found a way to go on, even if it didn't look like the past. She sent back a heart emoji immediately away, which is nice. Thank you for being there today. I adore you. Mom, I love you too. I responded back, and I meant what I said. The love was true, but it was complicated now because of self-preservation and being guarded. When I got home, Olivia was already home early and cooking supper. She asked me as I stepped in, "How was it?" She grinned and glanced up. I said, "It was good," and I meant it. That night, when I laid in bed next to Olivia in the home we had constructed together, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Calm, not the absence of sadness, but the genuine existence of enjoyment. I felt pleased of the life I had built for myself. They should have assisted me from the start, but I did it all by myself, which made it much more significant. I want you to know something if you can connect to what I'm saying or reading. You need to become better. You deserve more if your family makes light of your difficulties, doesn't believe you're worth much, or treats you cruelly. You don't have to mend those who don't want to be fixed. You don't have to put up with abuse just because you love your family. It's hard to go. It can be the toughest thing you ever do to leave settings that make you feel horrible about yourself, but in the long run, it's better. It takes away your self-esteem, your faith in yourself, and your faith in what you can do. You can make your own choices. You have the right to demand respect. You have the right to say no. You can leave individuals who don't care about you, even if they are relatives. You can't get even if you want to be successful. Not to make them feel awful or demonstrate them they're wrong. To be successful is to make your life joyful. A life filled of individuals who care about you from the start. A life where you don't have to modify who you are to fit into someone else's tale. You may also allow them back in if they eventually do the right thing, say they're sorry, and change. But you should make that decision because you want to, not because you feel like you have to or because you feel guilty. I left a gathering 3 years ago because my relatives made fun of me. I work as a partner at a huge ad agency now. I reside in a nice home with someone I care about. I have true buddies. I decided to have a family. I'm at ease. It was worth it to go through all the hard parts of the path to get here for that tranquility. You also deserve to be at ease. You deserve respect. You deserve affection that doesn't make you feel like you're not significant. And you should have the bravery to leave anything less. No one can doubt how important you are. It was never there. Please tell me what you think now. Have you ever had to abandon family or close friends to be safe? How did you have the courage to choose yourself? Write about your story in the box below. Someone else may need to hear your tale right now. If this story moved you, please click like. These tales are easier for more people to locate when they need them the most. Sign up for this channel and switch on notifications so you never miss a new story. There are a lot of true tales in there about how individuals cope with family troubles, betrayal, and discovering their own strength. Tell someone this video that they need to hear that it's alright to put yourself first, that leaving doesn't mean giving up, and that the greatest way to get back at someone who damaged you is to make a life you're proud of. Thanks for taking the time to read my story. Thank you for being a member of our community where we support each other get through hard times. I hope what I did taught you anything. Be kind to yourself and remember that you're not the only one. This might imply help, hope, bravery, or just knowing that you're not alone. You deserve excellent things.